Hey there, folks. Papa Joe here. You're going to have to tolerate the extra noise. It's hot. 105 degrees. So yeah, AC's running. I got a reply back or an email. I'm not going to say the man's name. He had made a comment on one of my posts on how to be a trucker and asked for email address, and I got it to him. He wanted to explain tell me the story of his experience trying to get a CDLs. It was the one where we was talking about the state having money set aside and would help you get them. One of my other readers had made a comment to me about it, and I'd read his comment, made a video reading his comment. Well, this feller tried that a year ago, and he wanted to share it with me so that I could share it with y'all. So let me share this with you. He says, "Hey there, Pops. I didn't even know you had responded. For some reason, notifications for YouTube don't show up anymore on my phone or tablet, but it sends me emails. Go figure. In any event, let me tell you how trying to get a CDL through the work center went down." Let me unplug this so I ain't leathered up. So around this time last year, the end of June really, I started checking into schools around my area for CDL training. 2 are close to me. ESD is a big one in Decatur. He's in Alabama. And there is a small one close to my house. I went to the small one to get some information. Walked around the 5-acre track and listened to the pitch from the recruiter guy. Blah, blah, blah. And at the end, the cost of the school would have been $5,500 for 2 weeks. 1 week class, 1 week truck training. Ran a credit check and all that jazz. And they don't finance. So it was that guy who suggested I call his friend at the workforce center to see if the state would pay for it, as he has sent a few students through there to get funded. So I go to the workforce center, fill out all the paperwork, and talk to a recruiter person. Now the way it works is you fill out a bunch of paperwork, then take a few tests. You have to have a certain score on all the tests to qualify for that job training, to be fair. Let me back up. You have to have a certain score on all the tests to qualify for that job training. To be fair, for any training you try and get through the workforce center, you have to hit a certain grade to qualify for it. It's basically paramount to you to hit X grade level on the test. Some are higher than others, such as if you want to be a nurse or something in the medical field. Some are lower, such as wanting to go into the carpentry or something. CDL is in the middle of the pack. So the recruiter guy tells me that I came just as the last quarter acceptance was over. Imagine that. And I would have to wait until the next quarter when they started accepting applications again to be accepted. If I filled out all the paperwork and got them everything they needed, took my test and passed, then I would be the first person on the list come next quarter. At the time, you could take the test right there at the center. However, now I think they send you off somewhere. I take my test, pass, and was told I shouldn't have any problem getting accepted because I met all the requirements and passed my qualification test. Little to no income, little to no work history, and I'm a minority, which gives me bonus points, a Puerto Rican. And he said that, I didn't read into it. All I had to do now was wait until the program started back up, and this is where things got all stupid. Imagine that. I've done all this at the end of June. I called them every 2 weeks for a status update and was told keep waiting. It wasn't until October when I finally get an email saying orientation was on X date at X time. So I show up and was put in a room with about 25 to 30 people, packed in around a large table. Another recruiter comes in and starts to explain how things work. Everyone there had qualified for acceptance. However, due to new changes in how the program works, we're told only 6 people will be chosen to receive training. I don't remember all the excuses she gave. Some of it was about how much money the state received. Some of it was how turnover was so high with people not completing training or not staying with the company they signed up with long enough to get reimbursement, etc., etc. So now she sits there and she's trying everything she can to convince people not to be a trucker. She tells us how hard it is. She tells us how bad the economy is and that there isn't any jobs really. She tells us we may not even get hired due to our ages, like me being 40. She tries to convince us to choose another type of program instead, and was really pushing things like HVAC, carpentry, plumbing, and things like that. Mainly because Alabama has a Make Alabama Beautiful program thing. So they try and push everyone to that. Matter of fact, some of the conversations I had with the recruiter were along those lines also. Before I even got that far, they were trying to push me to do that instead. I had to be adamant that I wanted my CDLs. She also tells us that of those 6 that will be accepted, they also now have to have a legitimate job offer from a company, and not one from whatever school you chose. Meaning, when I was talking to the recruiter, he says they have so many recruiters coming through, like once a week. They have a recruiter type day where companies come in and make their pitch to people about to graduate to come work for them. That he can provide a work offer from one of the recruiters. However, she states that this is no longer acceptable. And you have to have an offer that basically says they've already hired you. A bunch of people get upset, myself included. Excuse me. And some walk out immediately. And one guy got really upset and was like, this is BS. I already got my B-class CDL. This was just a waste of time where I could have been figuring out another way to get it. Boy, howdy. Of course, with people walking out, she was like, no, don't go. It doesn't mean you won't get accepted. So then after things calmed down, she then states that although everyone in the room was accepted, they now have a renewment where they will call all of your former employers that you provided on your work history to find out who is employable, because they will only be accepting people who are employable now. So I speak up and say, well, what's the point of saying that this program is for little to no income, little to no work history, if now you're saying only people who are employable? If I could find a job, I wouldn't be here right now. That's a fact, duh. And I was hoping this was a career path and not just a job opportunity. She says that that's just the way it is now. So she finished her explanations and more trying to convince everyone to choose another path because it was a one-time deal for the state to pay for everything. After all that was done, we had to take one more assessment test, where it was the thing where it showed us different jobs we were qualified for, and where to watch a bunch of videos and choose another career, then have to turn it in by X date. You can sit there and do it, at the center, or you could go home and do it on your computer and have it back to her by X date. I did mine there, handed it in, walked out the building, and knew that the chances of getting to be in the 6 were slim to none, and that I would never hear from them again. So there it is, a bunch of hogwash trying to get it through the state now. Well, at least here in Alabama. It may be different and easier in another state, but this is what you're going to have to deal with now in Bama. I want my CDL so bad and still haven't figured out a way to get it. I might have to bite the bullet and sign my life away for a year to some company to train me, because the only other way I can find to get it is there is a college here that has CDL training, and it is $2,500. But it isn't a college course. It's an adult continuing education course. So you can't have the state pay for it, nor get a Pell Grant or any other kind of grant. They want all $2,500 right away. I haven't figured out how to save that much. I even tried to explain to the recruiters I don't even necessarily want to go OTR. And there are literally hundreds of jobs here where all you need is a Class A CDL. Dump truck drivers, moving trucks, delivery trucks like Coke, Pepsi, or Budweiser. I searched the classified, and there are just tons of jobs where the only prerequisite is a Class A. There are even temp services here that deal mainly with CDL driving jobs. So yeah, there it is. I appreciate you telling people that it is an option, but aside from just doing the research, they need to literally ask the workforce center person what else is going to be required. Aside from the BS on the brochure saying little to no work history, income, or that you will be accepted as long as you pass the test and fill out all the paperwork. It will be a crapshoot, and just because they say you qualify doesn't mean you will be accepted, even after they say you are qualified and accepted. They will blow smoke up your bum just to get you to sign up for the program. But then when you're in and they try and convince you to do something else in the program, I don't know if it's an intentional bait and switch, but it sure felt like it. How you relay this message to your viewers is up to you. You don't have to tell my story, but you should inform them that there are more hoops to jump through than there were back in the day when they probably accepted everyone. And even if you do hit every hoop, you still may not have the outcome you expect. So there's my story. Sorry it was so long, and sorry for the misspellings. My tablet is acting up today. Sometimes my autocorrect works, sometimes it doesn't. I look forward to more of your videos, as I'm subscribed to a bunch of YouTube truckers trying to find some way to get a CDL, mainly, and learning things I will need to know when I do eventually figure it out and go OTR. I got the game plan pretty much figured out. A year OTR with some company, save every penny, then go finance a used truck through the bank, then go OO and choose my path from there. It will probably be flatbed and maybe some heavy haul, but lately I've been thinking of doing something like a 26-foot expediter truck, as I met this couple that has one. I had never seen a full cab front truck with only half a container on the back. So they explained what kind of truck it was, told me they mainly do a lot of LTLs, and let me look around in their truck. It was like an RV in there, and they say they love it, and I should consider it. I also looked up some used expediter trucks, and I've seen some here for as little as 10 grand. Even full-size trucks and trailers are relatively cheap here. As I'm sure you know, Alabama has a ton of trucks here, and shipping and receiving, although not as big a hub as Atlanta, for example, but there is a lot of freight moving in and out of here. And a whole bunch of truck drivers. I was also thinking of maybe becoming a freight agent. then working my way up to broker and maybe opening my own brokerage, but that's way down the road and a story for another day. So thanks for taking the time to respond, and thanks for reading all of this. The good thing about catching a YouTuber when they still have a low sub count is that they usually respond. But when they start hitting the 500, 1,500 subs, you get lost in the mass emails and messages they receive. Actually, you're the first YouTube trucker I've ever tried to contact, and I'm not even sure why I did. Maybe it was because I was binge watching your videos. I came across one that said Alabama and Workforce Center, and that pertained to me personally. So I had to give it a shot and speak up. I found your page on the sidebar recommendations, and I'm glad I did. I wish you continued success on your channel and safe driving. See you around, Pop. Sincerely, Mike. Then he says, feel free to contact me anytime if you have any questions. Well, Mike, bummer, brother. That sucks. You don't want to get me started on the government. You really don't. Some of the nonsense that they do, and I'm fixing to pause this so I can have a cigarette after I open this pack. Some of the nonsense that they do just to keep their little game going, and that's what it is to me, the game. One of my other videos, I explained how it works. They have to spend all that money that they've been allotted so that they can show we spent it and we need more. But does it really help the masses out? Alright, a couple of things for you, buddy. Boy, truck driver, there's a flatbedder and his chains are loose. And he's pulling out of a truck stop. Didn't you thump them chains, hand? Expedite. It ain't what you think. Being an owner-operator, it ain't what you think. You need more of a game plan than to say, I'm going to do it. Expediters, if you're not a team, you sit a lot. You also really need to know your major hubs. The thing with that is, a lot of them, as a single driver, they're only going to dispatch you on a 500-mile run, maybe 600 nowadays, because you're a single driver. Expedite don't mean you stop taking nap. So if you don't have a team driver without your required break, you can only run 500-600 miles, because they're thinking, and rightfully so. Now, along with that, if you're sitting in Atlanta and you're waiting on a load, then and they dispatch you on a load, if you ain't been out here long enough to know, is that a good hub or not that I'm going to, you could really hurt yourself big time. So don't jump on that bandwagon too quick. You're not experienced enough, and that ain't an insult, that's a fact. Same thing with the owner-operator deal. I have told numerous people that getting a truck's easy. And I just went on another young driver's walk and explained to him about getting a truck. He's around the Atlanta area. And told him to see about running freight out of Atlanta, out of the hubs, railroad yards. I did it, made pretty decent money. I don't know what it pays. That was, I don't know, almost 15 years ago now, I guess. I don't know, it was a long time ago. But there's a whole lot more than just buying a truck. Yes, it is easy to buy a truck. It's real easy, too easy. There's a whole lot more that goes with it, especially if you're an owner-operator. You have to have your own authorities. That ain't real expensive, but you got to do it. You have to get your own tags. And yes, you can lease on with a company, and you'll run off their authorities. They'll put tags on your truck and all that. I don't recommend that, because then if you get mad and quit them, you don't have tags on your truck. You got to give them their tags, their EFTA sticker, and all that. You want to get all that stuff for yourself, and that costs a little bit of money. How much in Alabama, I don't know. Find out. Your insurance is your biggest cost. You have to have, nowadays, roughly speaking, $1 million liability and $1 million cargo. $2 million worth of insurance is not real cheap. It's probably going to cost you, I'll guess, $3,000 to $5,000 down, and anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 a month. It ain't cheap. So do your homework and find out what that's about for you. With what you're dealing with, I'll tell you now, your best bet is to go ahead and this is my opinion. I don't know all your circumstances, by no means. I don't know. But with what you're dealing with the workforce and all that, yeah, I think you need to bite the bullet and get your ass to work. But then again, I'm old hillbilly. I think everybody should be working. But look at it this way. You're saving the cost of the school, $5,500, as that one you was talking about, or $2,500 at the other one, so you don't have to come up with that. You don't have to come up with any of your room and board and stuff, because you live in these trucks. You drive for them the year or whatever, and all that's paid for. No, you're not going to get rich driving for them. However, guess what? You'll be making money. How much are you making right now? And you get a year or two under your belt. While you're getting that year or two under your belt, you're paying off that note, and you need to be doing some research. Find out what it costs to get your authorities and where you're going to go to work for. Which that brings up point 2 about being an owner-operator. Is getting your truck's the easy part. Even with all the insurance and all that, that's the easy part. What are you going to do with your truck? What are you going to haul? If you don't know the trucking industry, it's real easy to lease on with a company, and with your added cost of being an owner-operator, it's very possible you'll make less money as an owner-operator than you will as a company driver. So you need to know what you're doing there. You need to do your homework. I know you don't like me saying that, but do your homework. What I would suggest is you get in one of them road trucks, I don't suggest anybody get their license locally and start driving locally. That just, to me, that's crazy. I know people have done it, and they've been successful at it. I think you need to get in one of these rascals and get out here on open roads and learn how to drive and learn how to maneuver the truck and learn a little bit about being a truck driver. And then after a year or however long it takes to pay off your note, then I'd start talking to some of the companies, because you're going to find out a lot of them companies, even though they tell you all you need is a CDL. Well, then when you talk to them, they're going to tell you, oh, we need a year's experience or 2 years. 2 to 3 years experience is your most common that they want, except for dump trucks. I don't know that you can, well, I do know one fella that with Coca-Cola up on the East Coast, he rode around with a guy, and they even let him use his truck to get his CDLs. But we're going back 20 years ago. With the insurance and the lawsuit crazy people nowadays, I don't know anybody that'd let you do that. You'd have to question them real hard. But you can also talk to some of them people, like that, some of the dump truck places you're talking about. Go take your writ, get your permit, get your physical. Talk to them and say, hey, can I ride around for a little bit? You teach me how to drive, let me borrow your truck and go take tests. That might be an option. So, if you don't ask, they can't say no. You know? So, there you go, folks. There you go, Mike. good luck to you, buddy. I hope you keep me informed on what you do. For the rest of y'all thinking about it, you heard me read his story. So, even though you talk to him at that workforce center and you're accepted and qualified, make sure you ask them, yeah, what's the next step? What's the catch here? Remember, it's government. They're never honest with you. All right, good luck to you, Mike. Let me know what happens, brother. God bless y'all. Y'all have a good evening. Remember, God loves you, and so do I. Safe travels.